Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Advancement Center and to the world of magic and miracles. Once again, I always have fun with the opening, the energetic opening of whatever's going to happen next on this day. And for me, it starts with what turns into an invitation, but it's more than that. It's I don't even know how to put words to it. It's an opening. It's a movement of excitement. And for me, I so enjoy, and I may sound like I'm repeating myself, but I just so enjoy Robert's broadcasts. So last Saturday, this is something from his last Saturday's broadcast. I don't know if I said this in my last transmission last week, but it's, for me, they're like a springboard onto yet a higher platform of life, of living, every one of them. And I just pull a snippet. There's so much, especially this past Saturday's broadcast was so full. I'd actually just like to share the whole thing with you, but you'll have to do that on your own. So the simplicity of freedom is what I titled my broadcast today. And these are Robert's words, just a segment. Our world is expanding to where it should be, beyond the limited world and beyond logic. And we're not looking for magic and miracles anymore. We're working with magic and we're living miracles. Every day we are not just getting better, we are experiencing a little bit more of what we thought was impossible. It may sound a little strange, but you're allowed to feel perfect because you are. You are perfect in every way, providing you don't subscribe to a limitation, providing you don't subscribe to a set of rules. And it's not a challenge. It's the simplicity of allowing yourself to operate normally. And when I say yourself, it's not your body, it's not your mind, it's not your thought patterns, it's not your actions. It's everything all at once in a stream of excitement that switches everything on everywhere. And you gasp when you see that beautiful light come from a person, particularly a child, that light of welcome, of recognition, that's just a fleeting glance. And it blows your mind for hours and hours and hours, and probably is one of those things you remember forever. But you've never really looked into how you can have that all the time. But you can. You're supposed to. That's how you were born. That's how you came into the world. And that's the reason you came into the world. Not to prove anything, not to service anything, but to demonstrate to yourself the beauty you can develop for everyone and everything because of your presence. And the thing that comes first is to make yourself feel great. And that's done by the simplicity of living the most depth, beyond words, beyond the brain, living the live fields of life, of enhancement, of character that you're exposed to every day. So, hello. I feel like I could just finish the broadcast now. There is so much in just those few words. But of course, it's more than words. And we're always reminded that each one of us is so unique. Even if we're repeating or saying the same words, we're all delivering a unique message. It's so fascinating to me how this human life is sometimes, because we can be so moved by something, and someone sitting right next to you can also be moved. And if you have a chat about it later, you find out that I had a completely different experience than you. We were both moved. We both were apparently experiencing or watching or listening to the same thing. It's an amazing phenomenon. And it's something I think we don't get. We have a way we live in our world, and we make this really funny assumption that everyone else gets our world. Like, isn't everybody here with me? But we all live in our own worlds, and we all have our own experiences. And remembering that is really helpful sometimes, because I think sometimes, especially when you're those closest to you that you have the most interaction with, I'll speak for myself. I run around through my days in my world, and I'm assuming that everybody else is in my world. So when someone else does not perform or hear me in the way that I felt I communicated something, I can get very annoyed. And it's just funny when I look back on it, because everyone's in their own world. And it's really nice when you feel like they experience that message you were trying to communicate. But it certainly doesn't happen all the time. So it's just another one of those interesting little human tendencies. But the brilliance is our uniqueness. It's what makes every day exciting and new. And today, for example, I just started this day so excited, and I don't even know why. I don't have a reason. I'm just excited. And I'm actually having that feeling more and more. That feeling of, I wonder what's next. That feeling of anticipation of something brilliant happening. Because it does more and more now, more than ever. And I also know it's going to keep growing and expanding. And like I just shared some of Robert's broadcast with you, there was so much more. I really could have read you the whole broadcast, the transcript of it, because there was a whole section in there about our natural way of being and how beautiful it is and how gentle it is. And yet there's this thing that we've been conditioned with here on planet Earth, this reaction. He said there is no need for reaction. When you push on a computer key, a button on the computer. You don't expect it to rebound at you. You just expect it to do something. I thought that was a brilliant analogy. But I witnessed that reaction in myself, and I have been very reactive throughout my whole life. And it's one of those things I really would love to step beyond and step back into how I came here. I didn't have that when I came here. And sometimes you hear words, you hear a transmission of a message, and it so resonates with you. And yet you can still see how not quite where I want to be just yet. So that's how I feel in that regard. So there's always something more to look forward to. There's the most exciting thing is the unknown. And he also spoke of the beings that are with us, galactic beings, bringing our family or friends that have passed and how they will come to visit us. And just the other day, I think it was yesterday, I just stepped into my kitchen at home and I felt something very warm on my arm, and the stove was in that general direction. And I went to see if the stove was on, and it wasn't. It wasn't even warm. And I went, oh, and I apologized because I felt like, oh my gosh, there was somebody there. And I just stepped right through them. So you never know what's going to come next. You never know what thrilling experience you're going to have. And the experiences, I gave an external example. And I think the ones that can be even more profound are the ones that are just you. There's no external stimulus. It's just you. I went to sleep one night last week, and sometimes I need to be distracted to fall asleep. And lately, I haven't needed that. I've just been enjoying laying there and playing. For me, it was visiting one of my favorite places on the planet, which is Lake Tahoe here in California. And in particular, a couple of state parks, which are right next to each other. One is called Emerald Bay State Park, and one is called Bliss State Park. And there's the most beautiful path in the world, walking path. It's magic to me. I'm there right now as I share it with you. So maybe you'll see the trees. The trees are huge. It's an unbelievable, powerful place for me. The lake is beautiful. The mountains are beautiful. There's not too many people, especially when you walk this trail. So I found myself walking the trail on a beautiful sunny day. And next thing I know, there's my mother. And then I was young. I was like a small child. And she was young, as the age she would have been when I was a small child. And we were laughing and running and on this trail. The joy and the excitement was unbelievable. So that was how I fell asleep. And it might have been the next day or the day after. I spoke with her. I called her, as I do often. And I didn't say anything about this. And next thing I know, she's sharing with me how she usually puts herself to sleep at night by watching TV. And she said, and last night, I didn't have to do that. And I can't remember the details of what she said to me, but it made me flash on my experience with her. And then I asked her, what time was that? She said, oh, about 10:30. And it was like, oh my God, that was the time that I was having fun with her on this path. So I shared that with her. It was as if, I don't even think it's an as if, it's an as if. I think we were actually there together and she was experiencing it right along with me. And there comes a bird. Wow, I just felt a bird. It was magical. And I've always had this magical connection with my mother that got lost for a couple of years, but so grateful it's back. And even when we don't see each other for a while, or even talk maybe for a little while, we'll get on the phone and we'll share experiences, life story experiences. I cannot tell you the number of times we are experiencing the most unbelievably similar of things, just of experiences, the feeling, the nature of an experience that's parallel. They're almost the same, and we're experiencing it in the same time frame. That is really fun. And when I feel like I miss her and I wish I could go spend time physically with her more, because she's a bit farther away from me now, I don't have that feeling anymore. I think that's what took me there last night, or that night, is I just wanted to be with her, and I wanted to go to, I've been to her many times, to Emerald Bay State Park, and I wanted to do it again, and I did, and we did, and I didn't have to physically go anywhere. How brilliantly magic is that? This is our life. This is what each one of you can do, can play with. This is just a tiny little example. There's so much more. And again, the honor to be here and to be able to share these experiences with you is so phenomenal. And there's so much that's fed to us in other ways here on physical planet Earth. This is an extraordinarily important moment in the history of humanity, because we are at that moment of massive change in an incredibly fantastic way. And yet a lot of garbage is being pumped into our lives. And I speak with people. I spoke with my mother and with a couple of her neighbors, and I'm hearing the words and the feelings and the garbage. So here at the Advancement Center, that's not our world. And each and every one of us shares a piece of our world with you every week. But these are our experiences. And all I can say is I want each and every human on this planet to have this much fun in their own lives, to live their lives to the fullest, to be connected with what's real. Most importantly, yourself. And in your doing that, and in your connection to your greatest self, there's so much magic, there's so much excitement that you will lift the world. You will lift those around you. You will lift those across on the other side of the planet from you. It's not a doing thing. It's a being thing. So much training has tried to teach us otherwise. So with that, I'm going to leave you to have the most brilliant day, to have the most brilliant future. Every moment will be filled with miracles, and it will become the normal way of life. And there's always the mischief and the magic swirling around in the sparkles. There's never a dull moment. You never know what's going to come next. So it's always exciting. And you don't ever want to leave planet Earth because it's just too much fun to be here. And we can do that. We can stay here longer than we've been told. The choice is yours. So on that note, I am extending the biggest set of arms out around each and every one of you, around this whole planet, and wishing you a perfect health, perfect life, and a magic future. Thank you.